Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Schattenspringer. Their tagline is, "Waste of a read, literally no drama." The original OP is Pink Pixel Goose, posted to r/whatdoIdo and r/strange. Marked as concluded, unless it was the gnome. Sink randomly full of warm, soapy water, and me and my husband were asleep. Posted July 23rd, 2025. Okay, as the title suggests, my husband, 25 male, and I, 24 female, are asleep. It's currently 12:55 a.m. as I type this. I wake up to get a drink of water, and the washing up bowl is full of warm, soapy water. Wake up my husband, and he is just as confused. The pots are from earlier and all dry, we live alone, and I always leave my bowl/sink empty due to flies. Spain. What the fuck? I've never experienced this before. I have had weird experiences here, but nothing like this. Update. Same day. Hi everyone! Last night was rough. I didn't sleep much and was quiet, trying to figure out if it was anyone breaking in or otherwise. Luckily, or maybe unluckily, no signs. New carbon monoxide detector has been ordered, new cameras too. I put a piece of paper in the bowl last night after emptying and drying it, perhaps to see if there was a leak. I even left the pots the same for context, lol, and nothing. I appreciate the helpful comments. Just to clear up a few reoccurring comments, no, neither of us have a history of sleepwalking, and no, neither of us have a history of drug use or sleeping medication. Smiley face. Update 2. Same day. Carbon monoxide battery changed/checked. Still all clear. We have also ordered a new detector just to be sure. We have checked our house and we cannot see any unlocked doors or windows that need attention. We don't own an attic or basement, but we do have a few crawl spaces. Husband is going to check it out with his buddy tomorrow and make sure it's all clear, as well as the attached house belonging to my in-laws. They're away for a while in the UK, the only people who have access to apartment with a key, etc. Thanks guys, we'll update tomorrow. Update 3, July 27th, 2025, 4 days later. Hi everyone, sorry I didn't update sooner. Had a lot of abusive messages which made me not want to post anymore, but I also know there are people here genuinely curious and supportive. To answer common questions, I have checked the monoxide detector, twice, and even replaced it. We're safe, and that is not it. We also have no dishwasher, we don't take sleeping pills, or any drugs. As I stated a couple days ago, we searched our flat and my husband's parents' adjoining house with some friends. Here's the weird part. Our area is clear, as expected. We don't have an attic or basement, but we also have searched the house connected, while his parents are away in the UK for a while. Turns out, the upstairs loft had an old mattress which looked used despite being left as a spare. Bottles of what looks like pee and some empty wrappers, etc. Nobody was up there, but we alerted police who came back to check it out. They helped us call a locksmith and search the house completely and our apartment, to nothing. We hope whoever it was isn't able to come back. I think this will be my last update unless there's some more updates or if the person returns. X. Too long didn't read. There might be a squatter in our parents' area of the house. Police are involved. Update. July 29th, 2025. Last update on my sink/squatter situation. I hope. Hey everyone, thank you to everyone who has been kind/understanding. We're currently staying at a hotel while our friend helps clear the loft/squatter stuff and change the locks, etc. Just to let everyone know, our pupper is safe and happy, staying with her favorite auntie and being spoiled for a few days. From what we can tell, she hasn't been affected/harmed, which was a priority for us. Anyway, our friend sent us a few pictures from the loft, the mattress, which used to be new, a few trash bags and empty cans, as well as what turned out to be women's underwear. And that, thankfully, wasn't mine. Men's clothes, which aren't my husband's, and a couple used condoms, which is unsettling. So we're guessing it's probably a male pervert who has a thing for underwear and watching, which is the worst outcome. I doubt I'll have any other updates after this one. Fingers crossed this keeps whoever it was out, but police have said if we see anyone loitering or in the house/apartment again, to call and they will be arrested. Thankfully. Thanks again, everyone. This is just an actual nightmare situation to find yourself in. And honestly, I think OP took every step that was appropriate for finding out what was going on. Just definitely yikes. I remember back like almost a decade ago, there was a video of this guy who was like living in his house or apartment or whatever, and he had put cameras in his house because he was dealing with missing food and whatnot. And he watched as someone crawled out from his loft and like just was living in his house while he was asleep, and then crawled back up there and just existed without being known. And ever since then, that has definitely made me extremely paranoid about potential squatters or someone being in my house that I'm unaware of. My guess would be, in regards to the original story, because the water was still warm, that OP woke up in the middle of whoever was squatting, in the middle of their like chores or whatever kind of like sneaky maintenance they were trying to do, whether it was washing clothes or who knows. And they had to take the clothes and abandon the tub full of warm water. Which means that, more than likely, when they went to go investigate, they were probably being watched by whoever was using that warm water in the bin full of it. Because OP did upload some photos, and seeing the bin in the sink like that definitely makes me wonder if someone was using that to wash clothes, wash dishes, or wash something. Covertly, and just without being noticed. Hell, perhaps the soft sound of the water filling up and the sound of things being washed is what woke OP up in the middle of the night and led them to investigate. Sorry for anyone who was using this to go to sleep. Good luck with that. Hopefully the rest of the post acts as a nice palate cleanser to get this off your mind. This post was collected by Schettenspringer. Their tagline is, "Waste of a read, literally no drama." The original OP is Classic Adagio 7338, and it was posted to r/Am I Overreacting July 28th, 2025. My boyfriend invited me to his dad's for dinner, and I ended up sitting there, hungry, while everyone else ate. Am I overreacting? Hi Reddit! I, 21 female, have been with my boyfriend, 22 male, for almost 2 years. For context, I've been pescatarian for about a year and 3 months. I only ate meat for the first few months of our relationship, so his family knows I don't eat meat. Yesterday was his grandma's birthday party. They had brisket and sides, so I just had fruit and veggies. Totally fine since it was a big party, and I'd had a smoothie beforehand. Later, his aunt texted that they were opening their pool on his dad's side of the family. His parents are divorced. We decided to stop by. The pool party was fun, but my clothes got soaked. Afterward, instead of going back to my house, where my grandparents were already planning to make tacos for both of us, we ended up changing plans and going to his dad's house because they were planning on eating there. At this point, my clothes are still soaking wet. I'm in his oversized shorts and shirt. I'm also on my period, stressed, and haven't had a real meal in hours. When we get to his dad's, they decide to make pizza and burgers. My boyfriend is in charge of the pizzas, so I assumed he'd make a cheese one. Nope, it's a combination pizza. Burgers, hot dogs, combination pizza. Literally nothing I can eat. Nobody asked me what I wanted, except earlier when someone offered me a burger. Obviously I said no, which they later realized but didn't say anything. I started to get visibly upset, and my boyfriend asked what was wrong. I didn't want to make it a big deal, so we went outside to talk real quick. Finally, I asked him, "So were you just expecting me to sit here and watch everyone else eat in silence?" He kind of brushed it off, saying, "It's fine, I'll just eat and we can leave and go to your house." But that annoyed me, because we had plans that would have involved both of us eating, and I would never do that to him at my house. Right before everyone ate, I went to the bathroom and teared up because I felt like crap. Hungry, awkward, and uncomfortable. When I came back, everyone else had food, and I was just sitting there, with nothing. To top it off, he handed me the tiniest side cup of waffle fries. Like 6 fries. And when I said I didn't want them, he just ate them himself. It honestly just shocked me that no one in his family noticed or offered me anything. My grandparents would never let my boyfriend sit there without a meal. Ever. So, Reddit, was I overreacting? Would you be upset if your partner put you in this situation? How would you handle it? Consensus, not overreacting. People are surprised OP stayed at their place, let alone in that relationship. Update, July 28th, 2025, 5 hours later. Hey guys, just wanted to give a little update and some more context. First off, a lot of people thought my boyfriend was actively making a pizza, but what I meant was that it was just a frozen pizza. So there really wasn't much he could do about it in that moment. Where I feel he went wrong was not telling me right away that there wasn't really anything for me to eat. I kind of had to figure it out on my own. I wasn't standing near him when he put the pizza in the oven, so I didn't realize it was a combination pizza until the oven was almost done preheating. I do realize now that I should have brought something I could eat, but to be fair, I didn't even know we were going to his dad's house. I thought we'd be going to my grandparents' house, where I live, so I wasn't prepared. Looking back, I think we were both a little in the wrong. No. It was just a sucky, awkward situation overall. I do not think it was very inconsiderate, and we did have a long talk about it, but it's not something I can hold against him for the rest of his life. Also, a lot of people said I should have stuck up for myself. I'm honestly not a very outgoing person, and I really didn't know what to say in that moment. I know I need to work on that, but at the time, I was just stuck in a super awkward situation and didn't know how to speak up. I don't blame his family at all because it's not really their job to accommodate me. That said, as a host, I personally would never want to make someone feel like that. Lesson learned. I'll definitely be more prepared next time. Hopefully no one else ever has to be in that kind of uncomfortable situation. Yeah, it was not fun. On why he didn't make her a cheese pizza, they didn't have cheese. I mean this in the nicest way possible. I don't see how you're at all to blame in this situation. I don't see how there's any fault falling on you. You didn't know you were going to your boyfriend's dad's for food. He just kind of took you there. You didn't have a chance to change, to dry off, to get yourself in a more comfortable situation. And to top it all off, everyone got to not only eat food, but you spent all of that time waiting for them to prepare said food. I cannot comprehend being in a relationship where I would just actively allow my partner to visit with my family and for them to not have any of the food they're allowed to eat and just sitting there, going hungry, and no one does anything for them. Because they originally had plans to go back to her house so she could have a meal that fits within her dietary restrictions. But the plan unexpectedly changed, and there was no effort or attempts to even try to just give her something that she could eat for food. I worry that in that conversation that she had with her boyfriend that there was an obscene amount of gaslighting going on to make her feel as though, well, you should have communicated this, or you should have known that you were going to my father's where we don't abide by your dietary or some shit like that. I don't even fucking know. The boyfriend's behavior is a massive red flag. This shit should not fly at all. Because additionally, you had already gone through one family event where you had nothing you could eat and you were using a smoothie to tide you over. You went to his grandmother's birthday where they were selling brisket. And all you had was a smoothie, fruit, and veggies. Not a real meal. Then your dinner plans were then pushed aside after your clothes were wet to then go to his father's house and then also just sit and watch them continue to eat. OP, you've got every right to be upset with your boyfriend. Not overreacting in the slightest, and his behavior is just gross. This post was collected by Glumcraft4652. The original OP is Help Me 1971, 18, 17, 81, 71, 81. Posted to r/relationship advice. This post is marked as concluded. Posted June 30th, 2019. I, 27 female, found out my boyfriend, 33 male, is not divorced or childless when I told him I was pregnant. I'm a mess and unmobile, so I'm sorry if this makes no sense. My boyfriend of almost 2 years has essentially been living a double life. I'm baffled as to how he pulled it off. When we met, he told me he was on the tail end of a nasty length divorce, but that he had moved on and it would never pose an issue. And until now, he was right. It never has. Last week, I took a pregnancy test that came back positive, and yesterday morning, I had an OBGYN visit to confirm. I was honestly ecstatic. I've always wanted to be a mom, and my boyfriend felt the same. We talked about our future children many times, even though we haven't been together for the longest time. I was really excited to tell him that night when he came over for dinner, but his reaction was weird. His face went pale and he looked confused. Not what I expected at all. And he got up to go to the bathroom. When he came back, he was really calm and really serious, and he told me that he was really afraid and didn't know how me and our baby would factor into his life, and he made the decision to come clean. Not only is he nowhere near being divorced from his wife, who he's been with for close to a decade, but they have 2 kids together, 4 and 6. I have no idea how I never had even a clue. He works a lot and really early, which is the reason he would rarely spend nights over. That being said, it's not like he hardly spent any time with me. I'm heartbroken and confused, and his confession left me with absolutely no idea what to do. I'm still pregnant with his 3rd child, and he's still very much married. He left right after that conversation, and I've called and texted, but the only response I've gotten is that he'll speak to me tomorrow night after work. His demeanor is so cold and unfamiliar that I'm terrified he's going to leave me to figure out this pregnancy on my own. Another part of me doesn't want him anymore. If he's this good of a liar, what else has he lied about? What else could he lie about? I also would hate to break up a family like this. I feel disgusted in this whole situation. I've never felt more alone and confused. Should I be preemptive and leave him, or are there other ways I could go about this? Update. I think it's clear that I need to leave him, but that's about all that's clear for me right now. I want to be a mom, but these are the worst circumstances for that I can imagine. I'm trying to think of ways to contact his wife and can't think of any. I do believe I was at the house where they once lived at one point, but he has moved since then, allegedly. So I have no idea what the new address is. I can't seem to piece this together at all. I don't understand how I was fooled for so long, and I think I'm still in shock. To recap, I'm leaving. I'm not sure if I want to abort, and as much as I want to tell his wife, I have no way of doing that. I guess I'll wait until he speaks with me tomorrow. Thank you guys. If you'd like updates, I'll keep posting. Update 2. I found his wife through a website someone sent me. He wasn't lying when he said he had no social media, but she does. Seeing the pictures of them made me realize I cannot keep our child. His family is beautiful, and it breaks my heart to know he could do this to them. I cannot have the father of my child be someone like him. I still have no idea how to tell his wife. Top and relevant comments. 0Q1. You didn't break up his family, he did that to himself. Seahawk guy responds, she would be doing his wife a favor. Exotica Fox comments, oh, my heart breaks for you. You absolutely need to leave. You will never trust him, ever. Decide if you want to keep this baby as a single mom. He will have to provide you child support most likely. Yes, he will have to tell his wife, and if she's smart, she will also leave. She has a right to know. Please remember, you did not destroy his family. He did that. He alone did that. You have a ton of emotions right now, and I don't blame you for being confused, but please, walk away. Who close to you can you confide in? This is also an epic betrayal, and I advise you to see a therapist as you navigate the next year. User Legally Divine comments, please tell someone in your life that you are meeting with him tomorrow, or meet in public, just to be safe. Men have hurt women for far less reasons. User The Skipster comments, he's gonna leave you. You were just the side piece to a very immoral and selfish man. Do not expect him to do anything decent to anyone. Not you, not his wife, and not his other children. This pregnancy with his side piece is not going to change him into a good person. End your relationship with him and decide what you are going to do about your pregnancy. If you're going to have a baby and be a mom, you will at some point have to inform his family so you can get child support. I suggest talking to a lawyer before you do anything because you could easily financially screw this up for your kid's future. If you are going to abort, then the question about telling his wife is a different beast. I personally would because I think she needs to know the type of person he is so she can protect herself, and in part for petty revenge. Update. 1 day later. So I wanted to get this up as soon as possible because honestly, I never want to think about this again. I met with my ex this morning instead of after work because I guess neither of us could wait any longer to end this nightmare. I can't tell what's true and what isn't. All I know is my life has been pretty much torn to shreds. I went from confirming my pregnancy to this mess in basically no time at all. The last 24 hours have been the hardest of my life. Before I get into the conversation I had with my ex, I want to clear up a couple points that people kept bringing up. Yes, I've been to his house. I'll explain the quotations later. We both work a lot, and I never really minded never spending much time at his place. His story was that after his divorce, he was left with the house to himself and he got some roommates. He was kind of touchy about the subject, but We talked about it once, and it had to do with feeling weird about having roommates in his 30s. He was allegedly in the process of selling the house after his roommates left, so we stopped going there often since it was semi-packed up. Made enough sense to me, and since I live alone, I always preferred him being at my place anyway. So no, I didn't spend 2 years not knowing where my boyfriend lived. I spent a year and 7 months simply spending more time at my place together. The second point is how I got pregnant in the first place. We didn't plan for a baby. We didn't try for a baby. We simply decided that if it happened, it happened. He had this whole mentality about living in the moment and happy accidents and such, supposedly due to how his marriage ended. So, I stopped using birth control, and he would sometimes not use condoms. Come on, guys. Accidental pregnancies happen all the time. The last point is about my decision to terminate this pregnancy. I don't care about anyone else's stance on abortion. This is my life and my choice. For reasons that'll become clear when I get to how my conversation went with my ex, this is the most painful and confusing thing I've ever dealt with. Yes, I'd love to be a mother, but I'm in no rush. I know things rarely turn out as planned, but this is a terrible environment to bring a child into, and I'm not subjecting my child to the emotional turmoil I'm currently going through. I cannot have a healthy pregnancy with the state of mind I'm in right now, and I'd rather put this behind me and wait to raise a child with someone who truly loves me so they can have the life they deserve. It'd be selfish to have the baby just because it's what I want. I have to think about what's best for my future child, and this is not it. Since all this happened so quickly, it's literally been a day since the bomb dropped. I'll take some more time to think about it, but I think my stance is firm. Now, onto what you all came for. I spoke to my ex first, over the phone, and later outside of a coffee shop. I took y'all's advice to not be with him alone. I have no idea if any of what he told me was true, but I plan on never speaking to him again, so it's the closest to the truth I'll ever get. His demeanor was very odd. He looked almost close to tears, but his tone and what he was saying was cold and emotionless, and almost like he was debriefing me and not apologizing. Here's his story. His wife and him got married 10 years ago when she got pregnant. She was 18 at the time, and her family is very Christian. So, they married while she was pregnant, and she eventually lost the child. Since then, he's felt trapped in his marriage, but couldn't bring himself to leave, as he describes his wife as a very sweet, innocent, and fragile person with very strong views on marriage, and very high hopes for the relationship. After having their 2 kids, she became very focused on them, and he started to stray from his marriage at this point. He claims that it wasn't until he met me that he realized just how dead his marriage was. Being the coward he is, instead of leaving his wife, he decided to just start another life, with me, completely separately. This is where his lies started to get messy. He does have a job, but it turns out he works from home. So that's where he was when he was at the office. His coworkers/work friends I met are all kind of like partners, but they're all independent and don't see each other too much, which is why he was okay introducing them to me. They had no idea about his wife. In hindsight, I was very stupid to never think about meeting more of his friends, but neither of us are extremely social. While with me, he would tell his wife that he was out with clients, running errands, or on a business trip. All things he did legitimately have to do for his job. The house I visited wasn't his, which is why there were no signs of children. It's his brother's house. He works out of town a lot, so when I'd be over would be when my ex was house sitting. His story about moving in with roommates after his divorce? That's actually what happened to his brother. It was his brother that was in the process of selling his house after his roommates left, not him. So it turns out he does have family nearby. It gets more complicated. Too much to type out, but his web of lies is very detailed, very well thought out, and unfortunately for everyone but him, very well executed. Somewhat through sheer dumb luck, but I'm 1000% sure he's had practice living a double life. This could all be lies, but this next part is the strangest to me. He claims that when he had the conversation to stop birth control and have kids, he had a different conversation with himself. He decided he was happier with me, and if a baby came along, that's when he would cut things off with his wife. But that makes no sense. Why would he be cutting off his children too? Was he planning on ever telling me? He said that when that moment came and he found out I'm pregnant, he felt unexpected panic and reconsidered his life and decided he couldn't leave his family. I guess that explains the confusion on his face when I told him. He then came to the conclusion that the best course of action would be to end things with me and ask me to get an abortion, and we'd be on our merry ways and he could go back to his normal life. He still thinks I have no way of knowing who his wife is and I have no way of contacting her. Nope. Though he doesn't need to worry about having a third kid, I cannot in good conscience let this man continue to lie to his wife, who sounds completely clueless. I took the advice of one of you and recorded the conversation on my phone. It's a garbage recording, but there's just enough that's audible to keep as evidence. I'm going to spend some time compiling all I have and thinking of ways I could help her out of her disaster of a marriage. And then, I will contact her. The reason I want help is because I feel I am playing a part in the ending of her marriage, and I feel obligated to help her if she'll allow me. I did not give him any indication that I'll be doing this. I told him I just wanted to never see him again and leave this in the past, which is true. But I want his wife to make the same decision. I'm sorry for the novel of an update. Thank you everyone for your love and support. I missed so many red flags about his friends, his family, his home, everything. But I was so blindly in love, and hindsight is 20/20. So much of this still can't make sense and never will, and a part of me believes that his explanations and confessions are fabricated, and the truth is a lot messier. But I'll never know, so I can't hold on to that. I'm considering moving to put all this behind me. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for your input and guidance. My brain is still such a mess and it'll take a long time to heal, but you guys have helped me go towards the right direction. Top and relevant comments. J Bird. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I definitely agree that this is not the way to bring a child in the world. Your kid will eventually want to know about his father, and that will turn into a whole other can of worms that you probably don't want to have to deal with. However, you decide to reach out to the wife, make sure you're approaching it with empathy and not anger. Her 10-year marriage has been a lie, and I can't even imagine what it'll be like for her. Good luck, OP. User Feminine Energy 01. Thanks for the update. This guy's an absolute coward, liar, and a complete loser. Deleted user comments. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Don't kid yourself that she's going to want your help, though. Odds are she will partly blame you for everything he's done and will want nothing to do with you. She may even decide to stay with him, even after knowing everything. You said she's from a Christian background and they often put forgiveness above everything and stay married for the sake of the children, no matter how angry and unhappy they are. So don't be surprised if she blows up on you and defends him. User PD Porkchops comments, I'm 100% with you in all your choices, but saying you didn't plan for a baby and it was an accident while simultaneously saying I don't use birth control and he didn't use a condom is the dumbest thing I've read today. It's called NTNP, not trying, not preventing, and can be considered a method of trying to conceive. I really hope this is a shitpost. Way to get really hung up on the semantics there. Final update, 5 days later. Short update because I realize it kind of seems like I left you guys hanging. First, I'd like to address that the pregnancy was not unexpected but not explicitly planned. Accidental was not the right word, but I'm aware of how babies are made. I was, in a sense, trying to get pregnant, but only because my ex lied to me and convinced me he was on board. I'm not going to sit here and explain the ins and outs of how I was duped. I was stupid and missed some flags, but I absolutely planned on bringing a child into what I expected would be a healthy, safe, and loving environment. That environment is not real. I am not ready to be a mother under the current circumstances. I am not mentally or emotionally fit to carry out a pregnancy. And I am most definitely not going to put a child through the adoption system. It is just not a guarantee of a good life, and I can't in good conscience do that. For those and other reasons I've explained before, I have begun the process of getting an abortion. I have collected photographs, videos, screenshots of texts, and everything I could find as evidence to show my ex's wife. I tried to find texts in which he referred to being divorced or just any lies to prove that I'm not at fault. But I heeded y'all's warnings to not try and help her or push her too far, since I don't know how she'd receive the news. I simply found her on social media, sent her all the pictures and screenshots, and a short rundown of what her husband's been doing for 2 years. It took a day for her to respond, but all she said was, "Thank you." And once I saw that, I blocked her. I have not heard from anyone, and I hope to never have to hear or think about this situation again. It's behind me. I have no idea what happened with my ex and his wife, and I probably never will. Thank you guys for your support. Top and relevant comments. User Kitten Whispers in Candy. One of the hardest lessons of my life was learning that if someone is damned and determined to lie to you, it is hard to detect. And what a punch to the gut when the truth comes out. Ugh. This is a risk we run when we deal with people, but just like having a car wreck is unfortunate, it doesn't keep us from driving or using cars. We take responsible precautions and just keep on because the benefits outweigh the risks, just as they do in relationships. Best of luck, OP. P.S. Thank you for sending the info to the wife. That was the kindest, best thing to do. I was the wife. I wish someone would have done that for me. Just to spell it out, Kitten Whispers is not actually the wife, they were just in that position as the wife. Deleted user. You've handled this in probably the best way possible given the circumstance. Props, baby girl. Good luck in future relationships. User Anthelmy. Hope the best for you. I don't know if I'd have blocked her, but it's because of curiosity to see if she has something else to tell, but I think you did the best to continue and begin your new life. Stay strong and good luck. I'm certainly left with similar feelings as the final comments here, and I can't really put any blame onto OP for being so thoroughly bamboozled by someone who just lived a double life. They successfully managed to fool everyone around them that they weren't who everyone thought they were. I mean, hell, he even was lying to himself half the time if any of those excuses are to be believed. I mean, hell, after 6 years, I actually wonder where all of this ended up being. I wonder if OP managed to finally actually find someone and have a child and bring them into an environment that was healthy. I hope to God the ex got kicked to the curb by both of them and ended up having to reevaluate his entire life. Considering his wife responded with just simply a thank you, I'm left just hoping that she did actually decide to leave him and not stick with a guy who's that much of a liar. Like, he built handcrafted identities and personas for each of the people in his life just to do this. It's crazy. OP definitely made the right decision by telling his wife and by letting the truth be known.
Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.